to take in this energy of the sun. She's more than just she's giving us life. Yeah, but it is also that we have a strong connection to it. It gives us also a reason to be here. And I think it's important that you open the window, maybe if you're lucky that no one looks in, even take your clothes off, show yourself to the sun and get those rays wherever you can on your body.
I'm here with Meilin Ehlke again. We've been How are you, Meilin?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I love our little shows. I'm already sad that it's going to stop for a while.
I know, today is the last one for this time. She will be back in in about 12 weeks. So you're going to have to wait a little while, everybody. But for now, we were continuing, what would you like to talk about today?
Sunshine, because the sun just came out. It was snowing before. I mean, a little snow. It has been rather warm. But for us to become conscious of how good the sun does us.
Okay, great.
Right? So that we can nourish ourselves with the sun rays and the sunshine and the warmth.
Keep going.
And many of us at home, so if it's too cold outside, we were lucky last week, I don't know, maybe you in England as well, right? We were able to sit outside a little bit on a balcony, on a terrace with an open window, right? And to take in this energy of the sun. She's more than just she's giving us life. Yeah, but it is also that we have a strong connection to it. It gives us also a reason to be here. And I think it's important that you open the window, maybe if you're lucky that no one looks in, even take your clothes off, show yourself to the sun and get those rays wherever you can on your body.
Wow, so a little bit of nudity in front of the sun, everybody, is what we're recommending today. I have to tell you that in central London, where I am right now, not sure that's going to go down very well.
Yeah, but then you can go as far down, just cover your breast with a shawl or something.
Very good.
Okay, nudge it. It also brings out a little oomph again in you, in everyone, I think. There has been too much on covering up our body. Too much emphasis on it. I would say I've lived now in the US, there's the extreme. I'm coming from two extremes. Now, I grew up with a mother from East Germany where nudity at the beach is nothing, right? They have been used at that time she grew up in the East Germany, right? To show themselves with no problem.
Yeah.
Maybe the Netherlands, they never worry, they don't put down their shutters. And then I moved, growing up outside, going, what else? Isn't there the blaue Reiter, right? The blue riders, that turn of last century, where they also said the free culture, body culture, how important that is.
Yeah.
And then we can go on why it's important, right? You can feel the ground, you can touch, you always in connection, lie on the grass, on the sand.
Yeah, we're born without clothes on. I mean, that's like how we emerge into the world, right?
Genau, and I would love that to see that disappear, because when I lived then in the US, at the college where I was, it was a new sports center being built because the Olympics were arising. And we had teams from around the world come there, so they built a little bit better thing. Yeah. And there was a swimming. They were very strong in swimming and gymnastics, and already the little children grew up from the region in that training. So you would go into the changing room, and I saw already little children covering themselves up. There were only women's changing room. Covering up and under a towel and changing their clothing this way. And I thought, oh my God, what kind of fear do they have in the presence of other women? And that even went further than I would see the swimming teams. I mean, they're Olympic teams. shaving, they have to shave their body on a regular basis, so no hair is on their body, so this can swim faster.
Mhm.
They've been grown up for maybe 10, 20 years almost together. Yeah, maybe a little. And they keep their bathing suit on in the shower. So even they're being afraid to show yourself. What does that with us? And that really got me to think. And I said, do I want to live for that time? Or do I want my son to grow up in a community? The Germans that were there, we walked naked to the shower. And the Chinese did the same. They were also not afraid to walk naked to the shower. Many other cultures were. And I said, ooh, if we cannot be comfortable under other women, where are we not comfortable as well? And I would like to invite everyone, how much can you, I have a word, entblößen. How much can you uncover or put out into the world of yourself? And is the last thing standing there purely naked and being okay with it in front of many people?
Wow, this is amazing, Meilin, right? Because I think back to the conversations that you and I have had over the past 2 weeks. And, you know, we've been talking a lot about sensuality and sexuality and oneness. And what, you know, what I can, and the ways that society is constructed to have us be separated. And we've talked about borderless, we've talked about borders and nationalities and nations, and, you know, and like, and the kind of energy of the womb and the energy, the spiral energy, and all of that is what I can hear in what you're saying today. It's like, you know, clothes are a way to separate ourselves. It's like we have our bodies, and particularly in the, you're talking about Western culture, you know, Anglo-Saxon Western culture in particular, because, you know, the Netherlands and Germany are also Western cultures, but they're more European in nature, slightly more Latin. But there's this kind of notion in the US and the UK that their bodies are something to be ashamed of and keep hidden and protected, and like, and it's a way of separating ourselves. And what we've been talking about over the last few weeks is how to bring us together and how to bring us into oneness, and how to create oneness, essentially. And that's what I can hear in what you're sharing. So the act of the Chinese people and the Germans being able to go into the shower naked is like saying, here I am, this is me, accept me as I am. And that, like, that is so empowering, because it really doesn't matter what you look like. Who cares what size you are, like what you look like, what little flaws there might be that you think are on your body that nobody else really notices anyway. It's like, our bodies are beautiful. They give us the capacity to be in the world and to be connected to humanity. So I really love what you're sharing today. It's like,
yeah, so I find this important. Yeah, maybe the Scandinavians, right? They have the sauna in extreme well. But what I'm a little scared. This is disappearing. What these young men and women in the 19th century, right, early 19th, were trying to create to relieve us of these extreme structures of obedience, right? You have to do etiquette and certain way of dressing and tightening up, not able to breathe. So I grew up in the 80s. I don't know if we have a magazine called a newspaper, in a way a little bit of a trash newspaper, but many people read it. It's like a 30-cent thing, Bild Zeitung. And I remember in the 80s, they were showing women driving in topless in cabriolets, in topless cars.
Yeah.
Nowadays, this women would be scared. I don't know, you know, even you're allowed to be topless in a swimming pool and take bathing that way. Almost no one does it anymore. A lot of people have been become very ashamed. Or being shamed. Now, this is a whole different story we can go into. So if I could have a wand, I think one of the fastest thing, if you would ask me to anything, if we can walk all tomorrow naked, I think that will solve so many things so quickly. Ooh, I have to think about that. This is cool. I like it.
Yeah, wow. You know, it's like, you see, that's this again, this is like so interesting, right? Because we used to, you know, I'm not familiar with the German newspaper that you're speaking about, but in the UK we used to have a newspaper. Well, we still do have a newspaper in the UK. I say newspaper, that's putting it generously, really. But we have a newspaper in the UK called The Sun, and The Sun was very famous for having page 3, and page 3 was photographs of women. Now, they were generally speaking a certain size and a certain age and a certain shape. But
spill it out. We had it on the Bild Zeitung always.
Right.
Top front page in Germany.
Yeah. Okay, so it wasn't the front page, it was the second page in the case of the UK. And about 3 years ago, I think it was in 2017, as part, like, a consequence of the Me Too movement, page 3 was removed. Like, not page 3 itself, of course there's still page 3, but the images of the women were removed, so they don't have that image in it anymore. And it was really, it really struck me, you know, I could kind of get the whole concept that it's exploitative, and, you know, these women, they were all in their young, like their early 20s, late teenage, they're kind of 18 to 25, so they were, you know, they were young, they were somewhat impressionable, that a lot of them were blonde, they were fairly, like, large in the chest, so they had certain image, like, around them, and I can understand intellectually how that image is difficult for women, in that it's, you know, is it kind of holding up to men, particularly because the magazine was aimed, the newspaper is, their target market is principally men. Is it being held up and saying, you know, this is what women should look like, which is problematic. Like, that's the difficulty. But equally, there's an aspect of it that's saying, look, these women are proud of their bodies and they're displaying them for people. And what actually is the problem with that? And we label it exhibitionist and say, no, that's not okay. But really, it's like, as you were saying and I was saying earlier, we're all born naked. Like, we all come from our mother's womb. We all come from our mothers. Like, we've all got a mother. And
I was just thinking, so don't interrupt, but why don't we die naked?
Well, some people do. My father did.
Yeah, but do you put them in the casket naked?
Well, that's an interesting question.
I thought so too. That's why I had to interrupt you. Normally, I don't like to interrupt you.
Yeah, that because you don't. Like, I both my parents are dead, and both of them, we were, like, very clear with the undertakers. They're going to be both my parents were cremated, and we took clothing to the undertakers and said they're going to be put in the casket for cremation in these outfits that were special to them. And I'm like, that's quite weird. Actually, when I think about it, I mean, it's somewhat honoring, because it's like saying we want them to be, I don't know, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, are we honoring people by looking at them? How have they aged? Are we ashamed ourselves to look at a body that is, let's say, crinkled?
Or in some way, you know, going through rigor mortis, or, you know, I mean, just
really interesting. Oh, we can talk for hours. Well, I hope this is 12 weeks.
Look, it's 11:43. We can't start a conversation like this with, like, 1 minute to go. It's, like, terrible. But wow, that's so interesting. Gosh.
There you see, we can use, because in that magazine too, why is there not a naked man that we can see? Because women and men, it's a newspaper that's on the breakfast table for all of us, more or less.
There's too many questions here, Meilin.
Yeah. That's a
really good question. Like, you know, so part of the issue with the whole newspaper thing was, like, it was exploitative of women. And there is the question is, like, why isn't there the same, you know, okay, so if you want to do it for women, why isn't there the same aspect for men?
Yeah, I would like a sexy man to look at the morning when I eat my breakfast.
Yeah, exactly.
Then why the men, like, they already have a
penis, have a look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's quite funny there, but this is the thing, we're laughing, right? But why is it funny? And I'm just noticing, look, it is 11:44, everybody. And you know that we don't go over time on Suzanne Paul's timeline. So we are going to have to leave it there, like, leave you hanging, literally. Because both Meilin and I are, like, totally enjoying this conversation, but we don't go over time here. So stay tuned for 3 months' time when Meilin will be back. Okay, bye
I
everybody.
will. Bye, everyone.